Hi guys, welcome to another class of grammar. Today we are going to understand conditionals. What are conditionals? How and when can we use them? What are the different types of conditionals? What do they mean? Right? It's not very difficult, it's easy. Let's have a quick recap of what are they. Conditionals are types of complex sentences, you can say, where they express a connection between two actions or two states. Normally, you must have seen sentences start with if, and then after the first clause or the sentence, you'll see a comma and the rest of the sentence. Conditionals are where when the sentence starts with an if, it tells you it states one action, and the rest half of the sentence tells you the outcome or the result of the first statement that started with if. That's all. This is all that conditionals are. One thing happens because of another. That is what it means in short. All right. So the second half of the statement will always tell you what is the outcome or what is the result of the first part of the statement. That's all. These connections can be general, specific, likely, unlikely, hypothetical, you can say, something that is just imagined, it never took place. These statements will talk only on these reasons. Later on, now further, we'll go through the different types of conditionals. There are four types of conditionals: zero, first, second, and third. Zero and the first conditional will cover about present tenses. Second and the third conditional sentences will cover situations related to the past tenses. This is something first you need to understand. Now let's understand each conditional step by step. Right? Let's first now move to zero conditionals. Zero conditional sentences are framed when we want to talk something that is related to scientific truths, scientific facts, or you're talking about general truths, or even if you're talking about a predictable result of a particular action. Only then will you frame zero conditionals. Now, in such situations, your sentence can start with if, and also at times it can start with the word when. They both have the same meaning. The meaning will not change. All right. Now again we need to understand in zero conditionals, one thing happens because of something else happens. It'll be easy to understand through examples. Fine. Let's understand this with an example that how are zero conditionals framed. If you heat water, it boils. Or if you heat water enough, it boils. If you look at the situation over here, my sentence started with if. The first part of the sentence is a simple present tense, and the outcome of what happens if I heat my water enough, what will happen? What will be my outcome? It boils. So my outcome is also in simple present tense. In zero conditionals, the first part of the sentence will be in simple present tense and the outcome will also be in simple present tense. This is your structure. So you need to understand when I said that after the comma, the outcome when you write, the outcome is based on the first part of the sentence. If you heat water enough, so what is the first thing that comes to your mind? What will happen if I heat water enough? Well, the result is it boils. This is your conditional. This is how you want to frame your sentences. When he scores, so what happens? He celebrates he celebrates by making a heart shape with his hands. Something like this. I'm really bad at that. Right. So when he scores, that is your first part of the sentence. Now what happens? He celebrates by making a heart shape with his hands. That is the outcome of the person scoring. Again, if you look at it, both sentences simple present tense. Next one. When it's raining or when it is raining, he stays indoors. Fine. This is how you'll frame your sentences. Now let's look at first conditionals. First conditional sentences, we use it when we want to talk about something that is likely to happen in the future. You're kind of giving a prediction, though you're not even sure about it, whether it's going to be true or not. But you feel, it's a kind of a feeling that you get that, yeah, there's a chance that this is going to happen in the future. Fine. After a specific set of circumstances, you're seeing, certain things going on and on and on, and you feel, okay, if this is the way he's going to work, he'll definitely lose his job. Or if at this pace he's going to continue, working, a promotion is definitely enhanced. He's going to get one. This is what I'm trying to say. Now again, with as like in zero conditionals, we can frame sentences with if and when. The same rule applies with first conditionals. You can frame sentences with if and when. Yeah, the meaning will stay the same, but sorry, the meaning, there'll be a slight change in the meaning over here. If is used when the condition is possible. That means it might happen, it might not happen. And when is used is when you are 100% certain that this is going to happen. So even if you're predicting about the future, if you are not sure about the prediction, you will use if. And if you are sure about the future, you know it is going to happen, you will start a sentence with when. Again, let's go through examples. It'll get easy for you. If I go to the shops, I'll get some bread, which means there is a possibility you're not going to the shop. So if you go, then only you'll get some bread. If you don't go, then obviously there is no bread. You're not getting the bread. When I go to the shops, I'll get some bread. Here it is a certain answer. That means you will go to the shop and you will get the bread. When I go to the shops, I'll get some bread. That means you're definitely going. Obviously, you haven't given a time like, okay, fine, 6 p.m. I'll go or 8 p.m. I'll go. What you've just promised is that, yes, when I go to the shops, I'll get some bread. That means this action is going to happen. It will take place. If you have finished your homework by 6, you can go out and play. So again, it's a condition. Probably say your mother said that line that, okay, fine. If you finished your homework by 6, you can go out and play, which means if you have not finished your homework by 6, you're not going out and playing. You're not sure what will happen. Only it depends upon you finishing your homework by 6. When you're having your party, please keep the noise down. That means the person who's, saying this line, he 100% knows that the party is going to take place. All he's saying is that when you're having a party, that means when you start your party, please keep the noise down. That's the outcome. Fine. I hope this is clear to you. Zero and first conditionals. Now let's move to the second conditionals. Now here we're going to keep in mind of our past tenses. Second conditionals, when do we use it? It refers to an imagined present result of an unlikely or impossible present condition. That means in simple terms, we're talking about something hypothetical. You don't know, it's an unlikely situation. You're not really sure about it. Fine, let's go through the example. If I had the money, I'd travel around the world. That means I would travel around the world. The second part of the sentence, though we're using a contraction, but I want you to understand the outcome, the result, when we are framing for second conditionals, will always have a model. Would, could, should, might. It only depends upon the situation. Which model are you going to use? If I had the money, that means it's unlikely. It's something that you're imagining at the moment. You don't have the money, so you're imagining, if I had the money, I would travel around the world. This is your result. It's hypothetical. Okay, that means you don't have the money. If I were you, I'd think about leaving him. I would think about leaving him. Again, another model. Would. Please keep this in mind, guys. Second conditionals, please notice, After if, my first part of the sentence is in simple past tense. My outcome, that is the second part of the sentence, has a modal would. That means you can use modals over here: would, could, should, may, might, but it depends upon the situation, the sentence you are creating, which model will be used. This is the structure for a second conditional. Please get this clear, guys. If I were you, I think about leaving him, which means I am not you. Again, you are imagining. It is an unlikely, it's a hypothetical situation over here. So if I were you, I would think about leaving him. Completely imagining it. Fine. Let's look at the last one. Third conditionals. We use this when we are talking about a situation that has never taken place. It never happened in the past. You are referring to an imagined past result of something that never happened in the past. It never took place. Fine, it's pure imagination. Let's go through the examples. If I had known you were coming, again, please notice the first half. Had known. It is past perfect tense. If I had known you were coming, I wouldn't have prepared the cheese dish. Wouldn't, a modal, would, have prepared. So would, have, and then the past participle of the main verb, prepared. You can keep it this way. You can understand the situation of the result this way. Would, have, plus past participle. Or what you can do is, if you want to break it up in a different way. You will use a modal: would, could, should, might, whatever is the situation, plus present perfect tense. Have prepared, have eaten, have cooked, have danced. Have will always be there, plus the past participle will always be there. The only thing that will change in the outcome, in the result, is your model based on the situation. Now please read the sentence again and understand. If I had known you were coming, I wouldn't have prepared the cheese dish. That means the guy had no idea that you were coming. Hence, the cheese dish was prepared just as a general thing. Like, probably today I wanted to eat pizzas. So I prepared. I had no idea that my best friend would come. Right. I didn't know you were coming. So you prepared a cheese dish. That's it. If I had known, again past perfect tense. If I had known then what I know now, I wouldn't have wasted so much time at university. But that what it's trying to say is, at that point of time in the past, whatever time period we're talking about, the person did not know about a particular situation at that time, because of which he feels he wasted a lot of time in the university. Completely it's imaginary over here. If I had known, that means you did not know at that point of time, whatever the situation is, what you know now. At that time, you had no idea about it. That is why you took a certain step. That is why you took a certain action. So it's all imaginary. It never happened in the past. You never had that knowledge. You never knew anything about it. That is why the result is like this. So if I had known then what I know now, I wouldn't have wasted so much time at university. Let's see if I can give another one example about it. If I had known that you needed a lift, I would have dropped you home. You can frame it like this also. Okay. Now let's look at the structures. Let's understand the structures. Conditional sentences usually have two parts. There is the if clause, which is also sometimes known as the conditional clause, and the result clause, which is also known as the main clause. The clauses can come in any order. What we are trying to say is, You can start a sentence with if, or you can also start with the result. For example, I wouldn't have prepared the cheese dish if I had known you were coming. This is also absolutely correct. There is nothing wrong grammatically in framing a sentence like this. Okay. So if the if clause is first, the two clauses are separated by a comma. But there is no comma if you are going to put the result clause first. So again, let's go back up here. So which means if I again frame this sentence, I wouldn't have prepared the cheese dish, no comma, I wouldn't have prepared the cheese dish if I had known you were coming. There will be no comma in between. You'll just frame a sentence like that. But I have started my sentence with if I had known you were coming. Hence, there will always be a comma. After that, I will frame my result clause. I wouldn't have prepared the cheese dish. Right? That is one more rule also. Please keep this in mind. Now let's look at the structure. For a zero conditional, you can have if or when. After that, you'll frame a simple present tense like I told you, and the result clause will have a simple present tense. When I turn it on, it makes a funny noise. If you multiply 10 by 12, what do you get? Milk goes bad if you leave it out too long. Please notice over here, if you leave it out too long. So I can frame my sentence the other way around also. If you leave it out too long, comma, milk goes bad. Right, guys? I hope this is clear to you. I hope you're getting the structures. They're simple. You just need to practice, implement it. It'll get easy for you. Now let's look at first conditional. For the if clause or the conditional clause, if or when you can use plus simple present tense. The result will be will, or you can use a contraction, will not, also negative, plus infinitive without to or imperative. That means you will just use the infinitive form of the verb. That's it. You will not write will to dance, will to sleep. There's no such grammar like that. Will sleep, will dance. Something like that you'll frame. Always, that's a rule of models. Whenever you're framing a sentence with models, after a model will always come the infinitive form or the base form of the verb, but you will never have a to. So example, you can also in first conditionals, in the if clause, apart from simple present tense, you can also have present continuous tense and also a present perfect tense. You can have that. All right. So let's look at some examples here. If it rains, you will get wet. If it rains, put your coat on. Simple. Okay. If you are leading at halftime, present continuous tense. If you are leading at halftime, I will let your dad know. Fine. Now let's look at present perfect. If you have won. So if you have won, give me a call as soon as possible. You can also frame your sentences like this. So you have a will plus infinitive without to or imperative. You can frame it like this also. Fine. Now let's look at the second conditional sentences. Here you'll see there's no when. Here your sentences will be framed only with if. If plus simple past tense. That's it. The result clause, you will have would or any other model. Would plus infinitive. You will not add to it. Just the base form of the verb. Okay. Now like this said over here in the exception for simple past, if you have the verb to be, then you will use were in first and second person. For example, if I were there, if you were there. You will not use was if I was there or if you was there. It will be were. That is the one exception. Normally it is I was and we say they were, we were. But here the exception is for first and second person also. In a second conditional situation, if you are framing a simple past tense and you have to use the verb to be, it will be conjugated in were. It will be conjugated to were. You will not use was over here. If I were available, if I were there, I would have helped you out. If you were there, you would have helped me out. You can frame anything like this. So let's look at an example here again. If I knew what was wrong, I'd fix it myself. I'd be out on my bike if it weren't raining so hard. Again, another style of framing a sentence. Right? Now let's look at the last conditional. Third conditional. The if clause or the conditional clause. If plus past perfect, your result clause will be would, like I said, plus have plus past participle. So like I said, the way it's broken up like this, it's whatever you find it easy to remember. So your result clause can be would plus have plus past participle, or if you want to make it easy to remember, would plus present perfect tense, because present perfect tense is also have plus past participle. The only rule is here you will not have has. It will always be have. So would plus have plus past participle. But your models can change as per the situation. Please remember that your models can change. If I had known it break, I wouldn't have tried to pick it up. I would not have tried to pick it up. If you hadn't insisted on changing your shirt, we wouldn't have missed the bus. It is just that simple. Actually, after shirt, there's a mistake over here. There should have been a comma. I'm really sorry about that. So please remember, if you hadn't insisted on changing your shirt, comma, we wouldn't have missed the bus. Right? Now let's take down some notes for models. Most of the first, second, third conditional clauses commonly use will or would, but it is possible to use other modal auxiliaries also, right? Please keep this in mind. I've told you models will be used. Other models can be used. So if you look at your first conditional, if you go to the shops, can you get some bread, please? If you go to the shops, could you get some bread, please? If I go to the beach at the weekend, I might try out my new wetsuit. If I get a phone call this afternoon, it may be good news. When we go on holiday this year, we should book a nicer hotel. Right? You can use it this way also. Models will change. Like I told you, the models will change, the rest of the sentence, the structure stays the same. Second conditional. If I had enough money, I could travel around the world. If I were elected, I might be able to do some good work, or I'm sorry, I might be able to do some good. Yeah, work also makes sense. I went with a nice flow there, so yeah. Okay, third conditional. If you had told me earlier, had told is past perfect. If you had told me earlier, I could have done something about it. Could have done PP something about it. If we had caught the right bus, we might have been on time. Right? Now let's look at some mixed conditionals and what do they mean. Mixed conditionals combine the structure of type 2 and type 3 conditionals when the time, that is past, present and future, referred to in the if and result clauses are not the same. Let's understand this. It's always easy to get it through an example. So what do mixed conditionals refer to? Something that did not happen in the past and the result of that condition in the present. Okay, for example, if you hadn't left the map at home, we would not be lost. That means you left the map at home in the past. That is why we are lost now. If you had not left, that means in the morning, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, whenever you left your house, you planned to take a trip, you forgot the map at home. End of the story. Now, after 5 hours, when you want to look at the map to search the route, you don't have the map. It's lost. So, if you had not left the map at home, we wouldn't be lost. Something that won't happen in the future and the result of that condition on the past. So how do we frame it? If I weren't going on holiday next week, like I said, the exception is for a simple past tense, the exception if you're using a to be verb is it will always for first and second person, it will change to were. Instead of was, you will frame it with were. If I were not going on holiday next week, I could have accepted that offer of work. So you are talking about the future, something that, whatever in the future you were planning obviously did not work out. And the result is that the past situation could not be fruitful. You could not fulfill what happened in the past because of the future that you were planning, but it unfortunately did not work out. So if I weren't going on a holiday next week, so sorry, what I'm trying to say is that you are going on a holiday, the future is fixed, because of which your past did not work out. Because you're going on a holiday next week, you could not take up the offer that was offered to you. You could not take up the job offer that was offered to you. Fine. So I am going on a holiday in the future, which is why I did not accept the offer of work in the past. So this way we are using the future and the past together. Fine. You can frame sentences like this also. And over here also, like the above one. Something that did not happen in the past and because of which the result of the condition has changed. Right? In the present tense. Please, I would say here you'll find a practice worksheet of conditionals. Please go through them, try and frame them. I would recommend and suggest for conditionals, go through each part, each type of conditional, frame as many sentences as you can based on your professional and personal life. Use them in your speaking, use them in your writing, practice as much as you can. All four conditionals, try and use them. It is definitely going to help you out, guys. This is a beautiful way of framing sentences in your, if you want to leave a good impression in your writing and speaking, please practice this as much as you can. It will leave a beautiful impression and it's really, really nice. Fine. I hope this chapter is clear to you. It's not very difficult. Just practice as much as you can. Job done. Thank you so much. Happy learning.